everybody. I want to do a quick review on how to do long division with polynomials. Before that, though, I'm just going to refresh you on how to do long division with numbers, because that's not really covered in the elementary school as much as it used to be. And the process is really similar. So let's take a look at this example. 982 divided by 35. I'll set up my brackets. 982 divided by 35. And so the first thing I do when I do long division is I look at my 35 right here, and I want to know how many times it goes into 982. Well, I start with the 9. Well, 35 doesn't go into 9. 9 is smaller than 35. So I expand this out, and I go, how many times does 35 go into 98? And I make a guess, okay? Based on the 3 and the 9, it looks like it should probably go 3 times. But really, I'm going to guess 2 times because that 5 is kind of big. But so I write my guess up here. And then on the side, I take 35 times my guess, which is 70. And I write that under here. And then I subtract. 98 minus 70 is 28. And then I double check. 35 doesn't go into 28 because 28 is too small. So that tells me that I did my job okay. And the next step is to carry down the next digit and then continue. So how many times does 35 go into 28? Let's see. 3 doesn't go into 2. I'm looking at the 3 and the 35. 3 goes into 28. Let's see. That would be 7 times. 35 is pretty close to 4, though. 4 goes into 28 7 times. So I'm going to guess 7. My 7 goes up there. And then I take 35 times 7. 7 times 5 is 35. And then 7 times 3 is 21. 5, 4, 2. That works. 242. And I subtract down. 2 minus 2 is 0. 8 minus 4 is 40. Whoops, I made a mistake, didn't I? Let me double check my multiplication. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 3 is 21. 5, 4, 2. That's good. And well, at this step, I do my double checking, and 35 does go into 40. So I did not make a good guess. I'm going to try 8 instead of 7. 8 times 35. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 3 is 24. 0, 8, 2. 280. Subtract down. And now I check. And sure enough, 35 is smaller than 2, so I know that I went as far as I could. And if we had decimals, you know you would continue down, but I'm just going to work with integers here. So that means I have a remainder. My 8 goes up there. So the answer to this is 28 with a remainder of 2. Or you could write it as 28 plus 2/35. Either of those ways would be fine. Okay. So the process when we work with polynomials is very similar. Here's the next slide. So I have an example. This is the example that was brought up in class. So here is the process. I'm going to start with my brackets. 9x cubed minus 3x squared minus 18x plus 17 divided by 3x plus 5. And I'm going to start off very similar. I'm going to look at my 3x, and I'm going to say, how many times does that go into 9x cubed? And if I don't know the answer to that, I can just take 9x cubed divided by 3x, and I can simplify that, and that gives me a 3x squared. So that tells me that the first thing I have here is going to be a 3x squared. Then I multiply, just like before. When I multiplied the 35 times the 2, I'm going to take the 3x plus 5 and multiply it by the 3x squared. So 3x squared times 5 is 15x squared. 3x squared times 3x is 9x cubed. And that's what I'm going to write here. 9x cubed plus 15x squared. And then like before, I subtract. Now, I suck at subtracting. I'm terrible at it. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to change the sign and add. Let me get rid of that little guy there because it looks like that's another little subtraction. So I'm changing both of the signs here, and then I'm just going to add straight down. So 9x cubed plus a negative 9x cubed is 0. Negative 3x squared and another negative 15x squared would be a negative 18x squared. Okay. So now, the next thing I do, like before, I drop down my next term, just like in the previous problem when I drop down my digit. So I drop down the next term and I repeat. And I ask myself 3x into negative 18x squared. And if I don't know what that is, I can just check it over here. Negative 18x squared over 3x. When I simplify, that's a negative 6. 18 over 3 is 6. And x squared over x is an x. So my next term here is a negative 6x up on top. Then like before, I multiply 3x plus 5 times negative 6x. Negative 6x times 5 is negative 30x. Negative 6x times 3x. Negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. And x times x is x squared. And that's what goes here. Negative 18x squared minus 30x. And again, I want to subtract. I suck at subtracting, so I'm going to change the signs. Negative 18 plus 18 is a 0. Negative 18 plus 30, that's 30 minus 18. That should be a positive 12x. Let's see. 12 plus 18 is 20, 30, so that's correct. Okay. And then as before, I bring the next term down and I repeat. I'm running out of space, so let me erase some of this over on the side. And again, I look at the first terms, 12x and 3x. I want to know how many times that goes. If I don't see it, I just take 12x over 3x on the side, and the x's cancel, and 12 over 3 is 4. So my last term is a 4. And again, I multiply 3x plus 5 times 4. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 3x is 12x. So that's what I write down here. Want to subtract again. I'm a horrible subtractor, so there it goes. 12x plus negative 12x is a 0. 17 plus a negative 20 is a negative 3. That's my remainder. So I can write this two different ways. I can write my answer as 3x squared minus 6x plus 4 with a remainder of negative 3. Or I could write my answer as 3x squared minus 6x plus 4 plus a negative 3 over 3x plus 5. Or actually, I could clean that up a little bit more and put that negative out in front there. Okay, I hope this helps a little bit. Let me know in class if you want more detail than this. I know I tend to go through these videos pretty quickly, but I know that they also take quite a bit of time for you guys to sit through, so I don't want to take too much time up. But let me know, and we can talk some more. Thanks. Bye-bye.